if they are doing this. I'm not saying it's exactly how I say it, but I don't know. Just from somebody that worked in Mexico and saw kind of the inception of fentanyl into the drug market, and how legalizing marijuana in California led to heroin being grown in traditional marijuana fields, and having the ground so leached out from nutrients that the heroin that was produced was too low. So they looked for options, and the option was fentanyl, either produced in China or made in Mexico by Chinese chemists that kind of like started up their own laboratories across Mexico. Now you see that phenomenon grow. And
wait a second. We're getting into some interesting stuff right here. That is not usually this. People don't talk about podcast stuff going on. No, I'm super interested. You know, so we have, it's coming from China. The port's controlled by cartels, and you also have cartels that have like Chinese working for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about this stuff for years, and I think only in the past 2 years have I seen mainstream media kind of talk about it a bit more. Specifically, the fact that cartels have learned years back that the way they can disappear money that they earn in the U.S. is by putting it into Chinese banking apps, and using basically Chinese fixers to take their money, send it into the Chinese banking apparatus, and then sending it back to Mexico. And the U.S. can't do anything about it. So can we say that the U.S. is losing the economic war?
Oh yes, oh yes. I see news reports all the time of things, you know, that are with some high profile individuals tied into the political scene, and I see what they're doing. I'm like, wow, this is clearly money laundering. Like there's no other explanation for somebody, like, for example, I don't usually get political on the show, and I'm not doing that now, but I don't know if you've seen Hunter Biden's artwork that he's doing like with his fingers or whatever, and selling this stuff for like 500,000 a pop or something ridiculous. One of them sold for these are all none of this makes sense. And I can give you like 20 more examples of that, but this isn't Alex Jones show.
I don't know. Like I just see the things happening in the open now, which is scary. You see traditional things that you would talk about back then, and I was in Alex Jones territory myself when I would say that, you know, China is, you know, influencing a very specific cartel group in Mexico. And now it's pretty clear that that there's two giant cartels in Mexico, and they're vying for, you know, influence and control over Mexico. You saw the Sinaloa Cartel defeat the military in Mexico, basically having control over a whole state now. There's a no-fly zone over some of it. So, and then you see lithium deposits discovered in northern Mexico, the largest mineable lithium deposits in the country, in the world. And then you see a massacre of,
you know, everybody's interested in that. Everybody's interested in that.
Well, interesting thing, right where that was a massacre of Mexican-American Mormons happened, right in the area where that mining is taking place. And also it's the center of one of the biggest drug cartel battles as far as control over the area. Over about 2 or 3 cartel groups are fighting over that control over that space. And then when you research it a bit more, you realize that there was a Canadian company trying to buy up that land, mining company trying to buy up that land, and that company was then later bought up by a Chinese company. So you start seeing all these elements, and you start seeing the China factor a lot in some of these places, and you start to question shit. You know, at least I do. I'm trying to figure out on my personal kind of deal with reporting on some of these things, sharing information about some of these things through my social media and through some of the news sources that we support, is you know, just hey, this is going on. You know, why isn't anybody asking questions about all of these new pill presses making bogus pain medication pills, or just weird standard like Imodium pills that are laced with fentanyl? What's the deal with that going on all over Mexico now? Like what's the change in the market? You know, why are you seeing more Norinco stuff pop up in Mexico?
Yeah.
You know, those are weird questions, and I'm sure people that are in the intelligence community on the U.S. side probably know more about this than I do, but the general public should know a little bit more about this and why it's what questions should.
That's an interesting point. You know, all throughout history, when we've seen, for, you know, to be specific, you know, Kalashnikov rifles show up in areas, something is going to occur. We're talking about state sponsor like Russia, you know, funding a military, or the Chinese funding a military and starting supplying arms. And you know, it's typically easy to build, easy to manufacture, easy to use, easy to maintain AKs, you know, your Norincos that you're seeing popped up that are Chinese made. That's an indicator based on history.
Manpads. You're starting to see manpads show up in Mexico. It's been a while that they've been showing up, but you're starting to see basically radio controlled rockets. Pop up in Mexico, and some of those look pretty Chinese when I see them, right? And traditionally, most of the stuff you've seen in Mexico, and this just coming from me finding barrels of guns in people's backyards and shit like that then turn out to be cartel guns. And I actually found some of the Fast and Furious guns way back when. Yeah, and a few of them killed some of my friends.